coming from the town of the narrow cataract.
Yes.
And even in this very dry weather, we were able to hear it.
Give another possible explanation to it about the sheep, the queera, but I think that's just a kind of transliteration or whatever you call it.
This is the mile.
Yeah.
Finished stew, black ale. And it's a navigation point out there, I suppose, for ships coming in and out.
Yes, yes.
Goose Island. King's Island. Now there's a boathouse down there, and when the College Point, I suppose there would be cottages there. Side of Ballysokeary Castle and graveyard and mill and a lot of things down there.
And old church too,
and
yes.
The old church, yes.
And a fort near at hand also.
Yeah. And the river that gives it its name to is down there, the waterfall.
That's right.
There's the side of another fort, a very high one. There's the little river. There's three of them going into one there and going into the sea at Ballysokeary.
Yes.
That's Haldon, I think.
Haldon, that's right, yeah.
And this is Knockrow, or the Red Hill. You couldn't find any traces of that in it.
No, well, there's a ridge there, all right.
Mount Red.
There's a modern name for you.
Yeah. There's another river that comes out of the townland. Fairly small townland, an important townland, important enough to give its name to the parish.
Yes, and two roads right through it too.
Yeah. The last seat, I suppose, of the ballot.
In this area.
This is it with the tide in. The mile. The side of the castle here.
The mound on which it was built.
Yeah. About 50 feet up, I think.
Yes, we're right down on the riverbank now, yes. We forgot the boat.
Ballysokeary, coming from Ballysokeary, the town of the narrow cataract. This is according to O'Donovan of 1838. It contained over 190 acres of water. In 1856 it contained over 436 acres of land. Today it is a little short of 436 acres of land. In 1838 it was a vicarage in the diocese of Killala. The tithes amounted to £368. The nearest market town was Ballina. The land had many tracts of bog. In 1856, according to the Griffith evaluations, the immediate lesser was the Earl of Arden. The Reverend J. Verscoyle had almost 14 acres of glebe lands here, and a graveyard. That would be up in that direction there. The town land occupiers were Thomas Hennick, Michael Hennick, Hugh Hennick, John Ryan, Charles Gardner, he had a caretaker's house somewhere, Patrick Truan, and there was a Chisholm, John McAndrew, Henry Robinson, John Barrett, Bridget Carden, Michael Malachi. In 1641 this parish was called Ballysokeary. The townland was called Ballysokeary too. William and Pierce Barrett, Irish Papists, were the proprietors. It was disposed to Sir Arthur Gore. This was around 1641. Now this is the old
Ballysokeary Old Church, in the Protestant graveyard. It's an old church, I think, with an addition earlier on. That, I guess, would be part of the original church at that end. And then at the time the addition was put on, in there, in that gable, you can see the remains of a doorway which has been built up. Here where I'm standing now, you can see the width of the wall. It would be over 2 feet wide. And it would have been a long, narrow, dark church. Well, around the year 1000 or 1100, there were a number of churches, and that was the style of them. They were long and narrow. And my guess is that around that stage or before that, there was an addition put onto this. We're about 2/3 way in it. There's another third now behind us at this side.
Yeah.
And it's narrow in proportion to its length.
Yeah. You think it was a thatched building, do you?
Yeah, most of them were would have been at that time.
Yeah.
The name, of course, is older. You talk about a vicarage. That really would have to do with the endowment. That vicarage goes way back to, I think, the first mention of it would be in 1304. Church endowment is also mentioned in 1198. Only, it first of all is called As Quile. And in 1198 list, it's given as Donan As, which really would be the waterfall is the kind of essential part of the name.
Yeah.
And then the Balya would have been added on later on to the As Quile.
Yeah. That would be before the barracks built over there, wouldn't it?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, then there was a Catholic church here, wasn't there?
Oh, well, this, as I said, that all of this, both the original part and this would have been a Catholic church, and it was only at the time of the so-called Reformation that this would have been taken over.
1670 or after, around that time.
Well, 1570 to 1580 would have been mostly the suppression.
Would they have operated before Cromwell's time?
They might. Again, you could have a grant on paper.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have really been effective until after that.
Yeah. Wouldn't this church here have given the parish its name?
Yes. Yes. But all of this area, yes.
Yeah. And this graveyard here would probably be the churchyard, would it?
It would. Well, it's not used much by Catholics now, but it was a Catholic area to begin with. And it's in a funny position in a way that in the parish now, this is on one end, and Rosser could be at the opposite end.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of that, I'd say, in time, the original people who were living here were moved by Sir Arthur Gore, and they were pushed inland a bit.
Yeah.
And all along here, then you had a colony of Presbyterian weavers, whose descendants, a lot of them are still here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And their church now is at Mullafarry.
Yeah.
They had a place down here, I don't know the exact location now, first in 1690, and it was called Moy Water. And at that stage, they were part of the Sligo Presbytery. And by 1695, then they became an independent presbytery.
Yeah. Yeah. The ancient doorway.
Yeah.
That's the door from which the people who went in came in and went out.
Well, yes, I think so.
Yeah. Shape of the old doorway, isn't it?
Yes. The corner of the building is destroyed. It was probably taken away again for maybe cornerstones for a house.
Yeah.
So the wall would run out. The run of the wall would be about there, just beyond that hatch.
Yeah. That would be the old Catholic church, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That one and the addition to it.
Yeah. Now up here we have the narrow waterfall.
Yes, and even after a long dry spell now you can still hear it.
The noise of the waterfall. Yeah.
Doesn't look like much of a cataract now, but in winter time or say in flood water you would imagine that.
Yeah. Well, I've heard it louder than this. And most rivers today are dry. I've seen 2 or 3 rivers dry already today.
Yes. And there is a fairly good drop in the land. I think that's where the...
Yeah. Well, this gave its name to the townland and eventually to the parish because the Catholic church was here, up the road here. Small little waterfall. The narrow cataract.
Yes.
Ballysokeary, looking out of the moor, is the site of the Bally's Castle.
Yes.
That's
right, and looking up the river now towards Ballina.
It was in a commanding position too, I think, wasn't it, on the heights?
Oh yes, they picked their place as well.
On the ruins of Ballysokeary Castle. The first powerful family we hear of in this castle were the Barretts. They were Welshmen, came in with the Normans, and they took hold somewhere in Arras, and they were in the Battle of Moyne 1281. William Moore Barrett. His descendants, MacWattons, I think, were here. 1585, Richard Barrett was called MacWatton or Chief. Pierce Barrett was in Ballysokeary Castle. The Ordnance Survey letter states that tradition has it that it belonged to the Burkes after. It may be after the Lynott-Barrett feud, when the Burkes killed Tibbot the Bald, I think, and had to pay an eric of 5,000 acres of land that they acquired it. The Barretts lost Ballyk that time, so H.T. Knox writes, and maybe the Barretts lost Ballysokeary Castle at the time, but down here somewhere it was.
I'm standing now on what we think is a wall of the castle, and outside there could have been the outside wall surrounding the whole lot. On that rise beyond us now there's a kind of an oblong, and the remains of the walls can still be seen there.
Yeah.
Could have been, as I say, this is maybe a wild guess, but it could have been the courtyard for the castle.
Yeah.
And over there would have been another wall. You can see it going into the briars there at the back. And over on the point away from us is what looks like the remains of another wall.
Yeah.
Now, to get back to the Barretts, they were here for a long time. Now, this would have been an inhabited site before the Barretts came, and more than likely this would have been O'Dowda territory. This would have been a dune or a fortification before the Barretts came. They built a stone castle on it then. Watson Barrett was fined for his part in the Battle of Kilroe in 1281. He had to pay £163, 13 and 8 pence, which was a big sum of money at that time. In 1335, Robert MacWatton Barrett was the Lord of Ballysokeary, and he may have lived on until 1635. Now, in 1575, there was the MacWatton Barrett who went to Galway to kind of make his submission to the crown, and he got his fare home along with some of the other Tyrawley chieftains because of their poverty, as it was said. Now, in 1585, Pierce Barrett was the name of the man who was here, and he is assented to the composition of Mayor at Doonamona Castle under Sir John Perrott. And Pierce Barrett was still here in 1607, and there's a list of his lands being granted to him at the time. Now, how long the Barretts survived, I think in 1641 he was listed as one of the landholders, but by that time the chieftaincy would have died out, and they would have been under English domination and under English rule at the time.
Yeah.
When the last of the Barretts died, I don't know. They lasted longer here and in Ballyk, I think, than in any other part.
Yeah. So they're Welshmen that came in first, you know?
Well, yes. They came first of all to the south of Ireland, and they would have been in County Cork.
Yeah.
And then they made their way up here. And they would have been well established here before the Battle of Kilroe in 1281.
Yeah.
Now, to get the names of the islands, this little bunty one here beside us, according to the map, is King's Island.
Yes.
To the left of that then is Ordinon.
Well, that looks high anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Odd.
Now, in the gap, there's another little one there, and it's called Bird Island.
Yeah.
The one to the right of it then, it's Freach. That's 4 acres, 3 roads and 32 perches.
Freach.
Freach, yeah. Now, Bilberry.
Oh, yeah.
But there's no bilberries now.
Yeah. I was thinking of heather.
Green grazing. And away to our right here is Goose Island, and that's given us 10 acres, 1 rood and 9 perches.
That probably gets its name from all the wild geese that are around here.
Yeah, more than likely.
Yeah.
And away in the distance then you can see Ennisgrove and the sandbanks at the Valley of Diamonds, isn't it? They call that a part across there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's the golf course in our fair, yeah. Well, there are a lot of wild geese around this island, around Bartra, so I suppose this island here got its name from it.
Yes, more than likely it was probably one of their nesting places.
This was the view from the old castle of the Barretts
Yes.
earlier on.
Yes. And nothing could come by land or sea without them noticing it.
Yeah. I think they did more than notice them too along the line, didn't they?
You can be sure of that.
Yeah.
Be sure of that.
Yeah.
We want to put it on record now. The old channel of the Moy would have been this side of all of those islands.
Yeah.
And well, that really, I think, is how the Bartra in the 1198 list is called Bartra of Killala, implying that there was another Bartra over on the other side.
Yeah.
And the Moy channel would be here. It bears left from that point there and goes in at Moy Abbey.
Yeah. Well, there was a tradition too that the trading ships came down this way for a long time, didn't they?
Oh, they did.
And down to the pool outside Moy Abbey. Would that be right?
Yeah. Well, that would be in from the sea, and I mean this way now, from right to left would be the Moy's outlet.
Yeah.
But yes, they would have come in from the sea.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have travelled up as far as Ballina at all in the early days, you know, at the time they were coming to Moy.
Well, would you think they travelled at one time or another by between this and the islands out there, using this inward channel?
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
Now, if you take Parson Greer's Windings of the Moy, he says that the other channel was a very late date, but I think he's mistaken in that, because at least from 1800 to 1801 there was a Ballina merchant called Malley, originally O'Malley I think, and he imported tobacco from that time on.
Yeah.
And his sailing ships used to go up the present channel.
Yeah.
So by that time I think this one had silted up.
Yeah. I think there was a rumour about Ballina using a dredger or something here at one time or another, was there?
Yes, but there again, that would have dated about 150 years ago.
Yeah.
But I would think that the channel was there for long before that.
Yeah.
And they said that it was just a marsh at that. I could hardly credit that. That it was just a marsh, because it's deep water now. And that sandbank over on the far side, that didn't form in 150 years. I'd say that's there for much longer than that.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't think that a dredger employed by the Ballina merchants up there would have changed the course of the river and taken the trade away from mine or whatever?
Not to that extent. It's true now that they did employ a dredger on 3 occasions that I know of.
Yeah.
But all of those would have been after 1801.
Ah, yeah. Most of Killala trade had gone that time anyhow, hadn't it?
It had.
And mine. The monastery would be gone too, wouldn't it?
That's right.
And there'd be
the
no
harbour
point.
would have silted up a good deal all over.
Yeah. And there'd be no point in them coming in at mine anyway that time, so they wouldn't.
No, well, Sir Arthur Gore had a notion at one time of building a railway and restarting the thing. He thought there was a few bob to be made on it, but the Ballina merchants kind of shot him down.
Ah, yeah.
They didn't want it.
Yeah. This is a fort.
Yes, that's the view outward from the castle site now. And to get to that, then you have to...
this is a close-up. Very high, isn't it?
Yeah. We're up now past the old shore and into that field. That's situated in the Gleeblands there.
That was a high mound there, isn't it?
Yes. And those terraces, I think, were made by grazing cattle or sheep.
Yeah, see the height of it there now.
Yes. 50 at least.
And a mound and a trench all around it there. 50 feet over sea level, I think this is. A settlement, an early settlement, or would it be a lookout point? Probably a settlement.
A settlement, yeah. Farmer's dwelling, I suppose.
Yeah, ancient settlement.
Built on the top of a natural hill. Now, you can see that it follows the shape of the hill. It's a kind of an oblong, more than a circle. And it's about 50 feet above sea level, roughly. And there's a deep fosse or trench round about it. And away on the next little rise, there's the remains of a circle of stones, which could be another smaller fort.
Yeah.
We're not sure of that. This one has stones in the cly or the fence surrounding it there.
Yeah.
And there are too many of them to be just stones who were moved off the land, I think.
Yeah. This is looking at it at the site of the Ballysokeary Castle. And the glebe land is over here.
Yes. And they must have been the original, part of the original vicarage endowment.
Yeah. And far over we see the glacial deposits.
Yes.
Way there again.
Yeah. Looking across to Bartran and Escrone. Yes, that's the entrance to the glebe lands now.
The site of the old Catholic church at one time. And here's where the mill was, probably a corn mill.
More than likely, because there's a stream to the left of that too.
Machinery all around. They had big grinding stones there too, or mill stones.
Yes. There's fine building material there too, right beside them.
Yeah. Or the stones probably from the Ballysokeary Castle went into the building.
Well, even where the stream, on each side, the banks of the stream.
Yeah. This is an old house here, I think, with some history attached to it.
Mrs. Ryan here tells us that the last occupant was a man called Lavin.
Yeah.
And previous to that there were boys.
Yeah.
No, anymore I don't know.
Well,
Dates for those. She said that the Lavelle man is dead for, she doesn't know how long.
Yeah. Well, I read somewhere that the Boyds had a tradition of priests being lodged with them.
Yeah. Yes.
Now, whether it was priests operating in the Catholic Church, well, it would be Catholic priests anyway, or maybe curates. I don't know if there were curates here at any time.
Not that I know of, not for any length of time anyway.
Yeah.
No, I would be surprised. I had the idea that Father Timlin anyway lived away up in Coneil itself, or in that locality. Where the guy, you know, Gallagher's.
Oh yeah, I know where that is.
Timlin's.
Yeah.
And you can see an old horse-drawn hay turner, and next to that in ruins also is a reaper and binder. Museum pieces now, but they're a bit far gone.
Yeah. Is it having fun here now, I think? Now, left of this drain down here is Ballysokeary, townland. And right of the road.
That's facing back towards Killala now.
Yeah, yeah. And right inside the road there is Ballysokeary.
Yes. And that's where that bulk tanker is the turn from Bayview Cottage, I think, that road down.
Yeah, and Knock Row is down there too, and the shore.
Yes.
Now we're looking for some identification of the quarry here, or right sandstone, and
Couldn't find anything for the Knock Row.
we couldn't find anything. Now we're down here at the river, and there's Inish Dew.
That's right.
Yeah, and out that big island out there now.
They call it Inish Dew.
Inish Dew.
It's down here at 8 acres, 2 roods and 6 perches.
Yeah. The Black Island.
That's probably it, all right.
Yeah.
The little one then above that, that we can see there, is called Inish Porton.
Yeah, well that's in the south, isn't it?
Or Derrins, I'm not sure which.
Yeah. And that's a shot of mine Abbey in the far distance up there.
Rosserk Abbey, you mean?
Rosserk Abbey, yeah, Rosserk. Oh, yes. Yes, indeed.
The road now would be the boundary there. We're actually standing in another townland now, and from the map I think it's Derrins,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure.
And the other boundary would be this fence going up here, right at this house, I think.
Probably.
Yeah, we're not sure.
Or up the lower ground.
Yeah.
maybe the edge of the bank.
No, it looks like this is it here.
Yes, according to the map anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Going way up at Nile. Yeah, and over right here is Ballysokeary. Somewhere where the sun is saying it'll be Knock Row.
Yes.
Yeah. Now we're moving from the shore up again. I think that's Mount Ready there, is it?
Yes, the modern name for it, whatever the original name was. And Townland boundary then would be, I think, into the left of that, on the slope to the left of that.
Going down there towards the shore.
Whoever gave it that name.
Down there is Knock Row, I think, in there, wherever that house is situated.
Yeah. Well, there's a line of winds on it, and there's a kind of a sandbank there. More glacial deposits.
Probably give it a red colour at some time of the year.
Then a nice house there, and
yeah, I think it's Carnes. Green land on the south. And here's Rathhawdon, the fourth of the Little Heights.
Yeah, that's on the opposite side now to the other one.
Settlements all around here, thousands of years ago.
It looks like a big farmer's dwelling too.
Yeah.
Like to say in the films now, we were heading into the Golden West that time.
And there's a cock pheasant belonging to Ballysokeary on the road.
Not one bit afraid. That's facing the Killala direction now again.
Everything right up this road now is in Ballysokeary.
And that's the way down now to the graveyard and the old church. And on the left there was what used to be a forge. It's in Utah White though.
Yeah. Good land in this town, land.
Yes, it is. Heading up for the boundary now with Roisin's. Somewhere about the top of that hill, I think, wasn't it? The Roisin's boundary.
It is, right on the hill. There's a wall that goes down there for the shore.
Very nice view of the river too, and right across from there. You can't see it on this shot.
And that's it there, right at that stone wall. All the way down to the seashore there, or the river. Ballysokeary.
And that's the scenery I was talking about all the way along, up the Moy. Heading in now towards Moy. I have some information here now about Ballysokeary from the annals and the calendars of papal letters. That would be the 14th and 15th centuries. And the value of the vicarage at that time, the endowment at that time, would be 7 marks is the one usually, sometimes 6. That now would be about double the value of most of the ordinary vicarages. And in November of 1398, there's a letter that has to, it gives us a certain amount of background information. From it you can gather that there was a salmon fishery, because the Bishop of Killala was entitled to tithes from the salmon fishery somewhere in Ballysokeary. And the bishop in question at that time had gone to the diocese of Dromore, and there was Alan O'Hannicky, or I suppose it would be Hannick now, was the dean at the time, and he gave the shares of his revenue that should be coming to the bishop to this man before he left. and the decree that we're talking about confirms this for the lifetime of Alan. He kept, though the bishop kept for the diocese or for his successor the tithes on salmon, but he gave him his portion of the revenues. Now, to explain that about the revenues of this endowment, we saw vicarage lands. Now that would have been part of it. That would have been divided. Half would go to the rector. The other half then would be divided, a quarter to the bishop and a quarter to the vicar. Well, in the beginning, the rector would have been a priest, but down through the years then, rectors were oftentimes absentees, and there might have been younger sons of landlords or chieftains, and the vicar was the priest who said mass and gave the sacraments to the people. So sometimes now it's a little bit misleading in some of the Protestant churches. You get a list of rectors, and when you get far enough back, that can be very misleading, because the rectors in some cases were laymen, or there would be people in minor orders. They wouldn't have been ordained priests. Now, in some cases, rectories were given to students to pay for their education, and if they didn't become ordained within a year or two, the thing became automatically forfeit. And there was a certain amount of jockeying for this. If somebody had had the use of a rectory, maybe somebody else who wanted it or wanted the revenues would write off to these papal offices to try and get hold of it. And that's where most of the information came. Now, as well as that, some of the ecclesiastical lawyers, they had a list or a catalogue of crimes. And just as they do in court cases now, if you haven't a very good case, you bring in as many breaches of the law as you can, hoping that he'll get hung on at least one of them. And the things that these people are reported as being guilty of, again, can be misleading in that way. What happened was that from the papal offices, a commission was sent back to certain canons of the diocese. They were to investigate the case, and if the man was found guilty, well then the man in occupation was supposed to be deprived. But in a whole lot of cases you find that he continued on in possession, which would imply that he wasn't guilty of anything, and this was just a ploy to try and get hold of his revenues. That's a little bit of disedifying information now from the Middle Ages, but it's, in a way, you see, the people who keep the law will never make history. It's the blackguards sometimes who get their names in the papers. You can learn a lot from court cases sometimes. That applies even in the church. So.
The chancellor.
Right.
The chancellor. Down there now at the graveyard, and we were looking for the parson's house, and we couldn't tell. There was nobody there that was able to tell us where it was situated.
Yes, well, it's the old house, you know, the old ruins by the graveyard gate.
We do indeed.
You know, there.
Yeah.
That's what, you know, the stones there.
Yes. Right enough, we noticed a built-up window and doorway.
Yes,
you know.
yes. Well, that old house, of like the last residents there were the Boyd family, and they were evicted at the time of the evictions here in Ireland. I don't know now, would that be, when would that be?
It could be any time around the penal days or before that.
The Needlands of Lacken and a few other families were evicted as well at the time,
right.
you know.
Yeah. Well, did you know the name of any person, the vicar who used to live there, the rector who used to live there? Never.
Well, I never heard the name really. I'd say now it was a Father Burke. Did you ever hear of a...
I don't know, but he could be there without me. No,
yes, a Father Burke now.
Yeah, well, which house now? Are we mixing up you mean now the house above by the...
No, she means the ruins by the graveyard.
The ruins by the graveyard, the old, it's like a shed.
Oh,
you know, the old stones there.
Yes. Oh, I thought it was a Protestant rectory you were talking about. Oh, no.
No.
Yes, I see.
You see, that was a Catholic church in the olden
days.
Right.
Right.
The old ruins is in the graveyard, the Catholic church.
And Father Burke, you think, would have said mass
yes,
there?
I think I used to hear my mother talk about that, you know, in the olden time.
Well.
Yes.
Now, there was another house up there, it was Boyd's first, wasn't it? Your house, in other words, wasn't
Yes,
it?
that
Yeah,
was Boyd's, yes.
Yeah. I had people told me, I had it at one stage or another. Canon Mc Hale couldn't find it, but that the priest used to lodge in that house at one time, was that
Yes,
right?
there used, yes.
Yeah.
There was a Father Barrett.
Down there.
Yes, he was a connection now. He'd be a relation of the Burkes in Palmerstown. You know Miss Burke, she was down, Paddy Burke's, you know.
I know her indeed.
Yes,
And
well,
Burke,
he was a relation of theirs.
yeah.
Yes, a Father Barrett.
And you were talking about another father
And a
there.
Father Ruddy. Did you ever hear of a Father Ruddy?
No, I didn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Indeed.
He was from the Kilfine, or I
Oh,
don't
my
know,
God, yes.
over that way, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was a relation of the Burke family, or the Barrett family as well.
I see.
Yes.
So he lodging with you down there?
He was,
Yeah,
yes, he was. But sure now, I don't really remember. It's
I know.
my grandparents'
I
time.
had the idea that that this Father Ruddy that I'm thinking about anyway was in the States, and he came home and he lived here, like he was kind of retired.
Yes, he was a
And he was
retired
home.
priest. He used to go on horseback back over to Barrett's,
Oh,
over
see.
past the old graveyard, you know,
Yeah,
on
yeah,
that way and
yeah.
over. There's a
Ah.
cart track on that way.
Yeah.
And you mentioned another Father Brogan there before we forget
Yes,
about
he
him.
was our own cousin, yes. He went to America about 18...
Before or after the famine?
I just can't remember, about
After.
18, yes, after the famine,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And they came from Kilbride, down below Ballycastle.
Oh,
Oh, yes. And was he ordained for this diocese, I wonder? Or like he was a
Well,
priest
no.
before he went anyway.
He was, yes, he was, because the late Canon Heverin, you know, was in Cuneen
I
Parish.
know him.
I remember he was a child when he returned back, when he come back from America, and I told me at one stage that he had to stand up and sing for him down at school, wherever, you know, down Ballycastle, down there, yeah.
Good.
Yes, he
yeah.
had, and you know, the canon was a real strict, you
He
know,
was,
man,
he
but
was.
he said he was scared that day when Father Brogan asked him to stand up and sing, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
But Father Brogan had no house of his own down there along the shore, had he?
No, his brothers, Anthony and John,
Ah,
that lived
yes,
there,
yes,
they come
yes,
back from
yes,
America, or
yes,
Anthony
yes,
did at
yes,
least.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's still there. Ballycastle, you know, the owner of
Yeah.
Ballycastle.
Well, it's the young
But
fella.
then
It's the young fella that's in charge
Yeah.
of it now, isn't it?
Well, the son is there, yeah,
Yeah.
but it's the old Marshal that owns that old
it?
house now
Yeah.
at the moment.
What do you call him again?
Marshal Doran.
Doran.
Yes. What is, well, that's great-grandfather's, I'd say.
Yeah.
Or my grandfather's was a watermill.
Yeah. What was he
Yeah.
grinding it? Was it corn?
The corn
Yeah.
ground there,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
The big old entrance, you know, you can see.
I saw it indeed.
And the river runs by, you know,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
waterfall.
What was his name?
Boyd.
Oh, you don't remember his first name?
James Boyd.
James Boyd.
Yes.
I suppose
Yes.
that had been the 1800s too, wouldn't it?
Yes, I'd say that, yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The burial there, the old king. The castle is there by the shore, the old castle.
It is.
Have you seen that?
We have indeed, yeah.
Yes.
No, we're in the Barrett's Castle, you know, up there
On the hilltop.
height opposite the church. But you said this is out on the island.
The little island, the King's Island, the first
oh.
island. The bones are still there to be seen, visible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And at one time, I'd say in the 1890s, a Hinahan family from up, you know, in Derry's up
Yeah,
there.
I know
They
them.
dug up that place. They were digging for cockles and they just accidentally went onto the island and they had spades with them and dug up and they got hundreds of old coins.
Yeah, did they?
Yeah, buried on the little island. And they say they were buried with the king of the castle,
Oh,
so I
right.
can't, you know,
Yeah.
verify that any more
Yeah.
than...
He must be a Barrett,
Yeah.
was it?
But I don't know who the king's
Oh, he
name
was one of
was
the
now.
Barretts, yeah.
The old hill there was supposed to be the castle.
Yeah.
Yeah, free lawn.
Free lawn.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
we were wondering, was it bilberries or was it heather? So we said it was probably bilberries because it looks
Yes.
too good to be growing heather.
Yeah.
I know, oh yes,
Yeah.
that's the free lawn.
Free lawn island,
Yeah.
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 Yes, that
It's
is
covered
right.
with briars.
It's covered with
If you
briars.
look in through them,
Yes,
you see it.
the old
yes.
ruins, yeah,
Yes.
it
Yeah.
is.
And who used to have that boathouse then? You know.
My father used to have that.
Oh,
that's
had
right,
it?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and that, well, you see, that map would have been in 1838, you see, and it must have been in full use at that time. You know, the map we were looking at now was
Now,
drawn
yes.
in 1838.
Yes, well,
so-
that'd be everything beyond
Yeah,
there.
Of course, I
He
was,
wasn't around since big time.
My
No.
father he died when I was 5 years old.
But
so-
in 1838, he still wasn't in it.
Oh, he
no,
was-
I know,
no,
but
no.
his father
No,
before him.
because
My grandfather.
There wasn't in that land at all at the time.
Well,
Why
no.
wouldn't there be?
They only,
There were
they
there.
only came there after the famine, I think.
Hmm.
Well, I can't tell you now.
So your father had a boat there anyway, in a boathouse.
He had, yes,
Yeah.
for going to the island and
Yeah.
that, yeah. They
Yeah.
used to have the island
Yeah.
killed and hot and
I was,
heard of, who lived
Yeah.
in Mulliferry.
yeah.
And the people, you know, all his parishes, they were very poor, and you know, at
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
And he used to go around.
Now here Mrs. Mangan talks about Canon Purdue. He is no relation, I believe, of the present-day retired Bishop of Cork, who lives across the river in Farmer's house, or where farmers lived. He came, I believe, from Mattymass or somewhere up there. He lived in Mulliferry and was good to the parishioners.
You know, that lived in Mulliferry at one time.
Good.
Yes. He was a very generous canon, I believe. Yeah.
You were talking there about Todd Ryan. He had a garden there.
Yes, he used to till a garden just opposite the graveyard, the ruins, the graveyard that's there at the moment, and
And the mill.
he
Between
often
that and the
showed me
mill.
bones,
Yeah.
and they looked to be human bones, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. He'd find them when he was digging.
Yeah, when he was digging, yes.
So that the graveyard went extended across that way, across the
Yes,
path
that's
and all.
right, across the path, yes.
Would that be
Probably
towards?
that was the graveyard of, you know, the old,
Yeah. Would that be
and the
towards
church was,
towards the mill?
yes, towards the
Ah,
mill,
yeah,
just right over the
I
mill.
know. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because the old Canal graveyard too went out under the road.
They did just to say they dug up
Right
a lot of
across
bones.
the,
Yes,
Another
right
road
the
there.
doctor's side now.
yes.
But there was no road supposed to be there at all at one time.
There wouldn't have been, wherever the road went.
Over there at Ballysokeary used to keep horses one time, didn't they?
Yes, that's right. Yes.
What was his name?
Pat Boyd.
Pat Boyd.
Yes.
Was it your father or your
My
grandfather?
father.
Oh yeah.
And my grandfather as well.
Oh, they were at it for generations.
For
weren't they?
generations, yes.
Any good horse come up?
Yes, well, there was one in particular,
Yeah.
and Lady Gore that lived in Killala
Yeah.
was very interested
Yeah.
in this particular horse. So she come over to Ballysokeary and on her coach one afternoon, and my father decided anyhow, whatever she offered him, that he wasn't going to sell the horse. But at that time there was fairs in Ballinasloe, or not Ballinasloe, but
There was,
they
yeah.
used to ride the
Yeah.
they used to take the horses up here.
Right, the whole
Yeah.
country.
Yes, they used to go out the Windy Gap or away on that way. But anyhow, he was going to the fair in Ballinasloe, and seemingly she liked the horse that much. She followed him the whole way
Out,
out
yeah.
and bought the horse over at the Windy Gap away out near Tubricory or somewhere
Yeah,
else there.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not Ballinasloe now. It's let's see now. It's the fair of Boyle. Yes, probably Boyle. Yes, I think that's where the farmers used to take their horses at the time if they had a good one.
So thoroughbreds, your people used to keep, wasn't it?
Well, I suppose, yes,
Well,
fairly.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know
yeah.
how good they were or how bad, I suppose. They were.
Ah, well, race horses, they'd be thoroughbreds,
Yeah.
wouldn't they?
Most
Thoroughbreds.
farmers would always have a race for going to the hunt, I
Would
think,
they?
in
Oh,
that
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
all the local
Yeah.
farmers used to hunt the
Well,
horses.
you must have had a lot of land over there too at that time, had you?
Well, we had, really, but
Yeah.
my grandfather, you see, he divided the place in two.
Ah, yeah.
Two.
King's Island there.
Yes. Ah, yes. And it is now, you can see the artificial shape on it there, all right.
There's supposed to be a king buried there. Supposedly one of the ballads.
King's Island. We had a shot of that from the other side, from the shore. Since that, we've been talking to Mrs. Mangan of Rushings, and her people own this. And she says that there were people here digging for cockles, and they had a spade with them, and they went in and they uncovered human remains, including a skull, which she herself saw. She was warned by her mother not to touch it because it wasn't lucky. She told us also that after that, at some stage, there were coins found. Now, what happened to them, we don't know.
Yeah.
King's Island, she claims, because there was a king buried here. Well, a king, well, it depends on what you call a king. He would have been a local chieftain.
Yeah.
How long ago is difficult to say. This part of the island where we're standing on now has been eroded, I'd say, since that time. The mound is an artificial construction, and we're guessing now, speculating, that the materials, the makings for that, would probably have been taken from here. That would have lowered the level of the shore in any case.
Yeah.
And erosion has leveled it still more. Now, further down, after the mound was constructed, again, we're speculating, there was a line of large stones erected on their edge, and about 3/4.
These are the rocks now that form the circle, I think.
That's right. About the coins that were buried there, my theory would be that whoever hid them considered that a safe place because it wasn't likely to touch a fort,
Yeah.
and they would have been much later.
They would trace in the line of the stones that may be a ring. You see some big ones there that don't seem to belong.
Yes. We've got to mention also that Mrs. Mannion said that the remains, where the remains were discovered, would have been on the side of the mound facing Killarney, facing out to the north, facing north.
That's the site of the Bard Castle there.
Yeah, from
From the
King
King
side.
Yeah.
And that's the fort on the Gleelands.
Yeah.
Now, they're solid limestone gravel, and above it here there's a line of shells, and it varies in height. It goes up here now, and further along it goes up and down again at the corner.
Yeah.
Now, one possibility is that it was taken from further out on the shore to complete the mound, that there was already some of the mound there.
Yeah.
The other one would be that it would have been the remains of, yes, where they had their meals, and the shells were thrown away then afterwards.
And they found the mound.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a technical name for that now, but I can't recall it at the moment.
Yeah. This could be
yes,
called one of these.
A kitchen midden. Maybe yes, maybe no.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's more of the same thing. Lower down you have the limestones and the gravel,
Yeah.
and further along now, right there it goes almost to ground level. That the mound was an uneven height at first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Therefore left now is Rennicurry Point. And I understand it means that the point of the whirlpool. And it has the appearance of it all right. You can see the way this end is backed up onto the shore.
Yeah.
If you cross over then on the opposite shore, you can see the ruins of Castleconner Castle, one of the old O'Dowd strongholds. And a little bit to the right of that then on the horizon is the bell tower of the Enniscrone New Church. And bearing up then around to the opposite side, through an ash tree there, you can see the spire of Killanley Church.
Now, this is the boathouse outside the present-day Sam Carroll's. It may have been used by the vicar or parson that lived here and that owned the Gleelands down at Ballysokeary some 150 years ago. This one here is marked on the present-day Ordnance Survey map. It's down along the shore. The old rectory. We are told tradition has it. boathouse. And here is a well.
It's dried up at the moment after the dry spell. It's just used now, as you can see, and the crows have thrown a lot of sticks down into it, but there is water.
There is water in.
And I'm sure if it was clean.
Now this was the roadway around by the shore, and when the tide came into a fair here, they often had to unhitch the horse from the trap and walk down through the fields. This is the southern end. Oh, this was a boathouse here.
Yes, that's right.
Belonged to you?
Belonged to my father, Pat Boyd, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And his father before him, I believe, had one here, had they?
Jimmy Boy, yes, he
Yeah,
had,
yeah.
yes.
So, a rowing boat, I suppose. No engine, no sail.
No engine, no, they had no engine.
And what do you use it for?
For going out to the island to, well, to make hay and that.
Oh, yes.
thing.
He owns a
Yes,
few of
the
the
few,
islands.
Yes,
Yeah,
he has
yeah.
a few islands out on.
Which islands do you own here?
The one facing where we are now, Horse Island and Freeclawn.
Oh, yeah. Do you own Goose Island out there?
No,
No.
a man named Tom McGinley. It belonged to the Barons.
Ah,
in
yeah.
Northern
Yeah. So this is where the boathouse was?
Yes, this is where
Yeah.
the boathouse is.
This was your grandfather's house here now, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right.
James.
James Boyd, yes.
Yeah. And after him came Pat.
Pat Boyd,
Yeah.
yes.
And Pat, he had a thrashing mill or something here, had he?
Yes, he had.
Where
yes.
was it now?
Yes, it's in the old shed.
In
one
there?
Of those sheds, yes.
Had he machinery for doing the job?
Yes, he had, yes.
Yeah.
He had an old thrashing mill, you know,
Yeah.
pulled
Yeah.
by a horse on the, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, round, yes, it's on the outside, yes.
Yeah. So shaft went into that thing there,
Yes, and the horse
went around here,
went around, yes.
and he engaged some kind of gears
Yes,
on
and
him.
the oath, the
But what
gear
do
for thrashing was inside in the barn,
Yeah.
the thrashing barn, and
It was able to crush the oats or whatever.
yes, it was, yes.
Oh, yeah.
It was better than a flail. You know, the old people used to use the
Oh,
flail,
yeah,
but this was
that's
a more
right.
modern at the time, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
I think they've gone into liquidation
They
there a few
have.
months ago now.
They have indeed.
Yes. The old. My grandfather, yes,
He divided it up,
yes. He had 10 acres to John Boyd.
And he lived up
Son,
here.
one son, yes. And he married an Eleanor Carn from Rushing.
Yeah.
They had returned from marriage. Oh, yeah.
There was 8 or 9 of them living in this house here, was there?
Yes, 9 of family, yes.
Yeah. And eventually it came to an eviction scene around 1892, did
Yes,
it?
that's right. Yes.
Maud Gone was down here, was she?
She was, yeah. They set up the platform just outside the gate and she had a speech, herself and her
Yes.
colleagues, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they managed to do much good, did they?
No, not
The
that.
eviction took place.
It did, yes.
Yeah. I often wondered what this house was here. One of the Boyd's houses, wasn't it?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
right. Yes,
yeah,
it was
right.
built for John Boyd, yes.
In here.
Yes, that's what.
I suppose it was part of the graveyard at one time.
Yes, probably, yes, that's
Yeah.
where they used to bury
The dead.
yes, the dead.
This is where the boathouse. Well,
Yes.
not a boathouse, but a temporary house for the,
Yes,
those
temporary
of
house.
for
And
those
one
who were
of the
evicted.
children was born under the boat here.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think she only died recently.
yes, Agnes, yes,
Yeah.
that's right. Agnes Christina Marina, the christened her.
Yeah. Didn't do her any harm then, did it?
No, she lived to be 96 or 7, something like that. I
Ah,
think,
yeah,
yes.
yeah,
She
yeah.
died
yeah.
in St. Augustine, yes,
Did
about
they?
a month ago,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
I suppose it would be your grandfather that had this here.
Yes, I'd say so now.
Yeah. Corn mill.
Corn mill, yes.
Yeah.
See, probably the river, they had a wheel set up in the river, you know.
Oh, they had, yeah.
Drives that.
Yeah, yeah. Drive the mill.
Yes.
You never found the millstones around here, no?
No.
No.
In a portion of fresh butter, and I can't now put a name on that.
What was it a cure?
Cure.
Oh, yeah. What was it a cure for?
I think it was something to do with the heart or something like that.
Was it?
Yes, the
Yeah.
old people had that.
What was it called? You don't know?
No, I don't know.
Oh.
Years ago since it was collected.
Oh,
They
yeah,
have given up
yeah,
that
yeah,
a long
yeah.
time ago. David tearing the sheep, sure he's going to explain why, so he's not able to do that sort of thing anyway.
Yeah. This was the old schoolhouse in here, wasn't it?
Yes, this was the old schoolhouse.
This part of it here at the end.
Yes, that's...
You don't know if it was Protestant or Catholic?
oh, I'd say it was Protestant now.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about
yes, it was a Protestant.
the Canon. What was his name?
Canon Purdue, yes.
Yeah.
There was a story told that the Canon had to be, I'd say, before 12 o'clock he had to come with the rent on a Monday morning.
Yeah.
Or old John would turn the children out onto the road.
Yeah. Oh, this was the schoolmaster that was in it, wasn't it? John was the schoolmaster, was it?
No, John was the
landlord.
occupier, yeah, the landlord of the school.
Yeah.
I'd say Mr. Moorhead was the school master at that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I think it was Moorhead was the name.
Yeah.
But anyhow, John, if the rent wasn't paid up before 12 on Monday, John would turn the pupils out. And the Canon Purdue, it might be on Wednesday or Tuesday, or God only knows what day he'd arrive with the rent, when he could collect it, or money was hard got at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, to be all reinstated again. So the children were delighted, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, it was Protestant children mostly, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes, Todd Ryan and his family and all the older, that would be 70 and 80 now in this area.
Yeah. Educated in here.
Yes. Well, that looks like the one when
You saw this before?
yes, I did, with the roof on, a
Thatched.
thatched roof, yeah,
Yeah.
thatched, yes.
And there was a nickname on the schoolmaster that was here too, wasn't there?
Yes, there was, yes, old Waxy, yes, yes.
What was his other name? Gallagher?
Yes, Waxy Garner,
Oh, Garner?
yes, yes,
Ah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Oh, he'd be related to the crowd above, was it?
Oh, he was, yes, they owned a lot of land
It
here.
was all in the one family?
The one family, yes.
Ah, yeah. Any other teacher that was teaching down here that you can remember?
And Mr. Taylor, well, yes, there was, but you have to take it down from there.
So there was another teacher you heard of here?
Yes, she was a Bridget,
Carson?
yes, a Bridget Carson, yes. She
Yeah.
married Lord Arne's agent at the time, or his gamekeeper, I'd say, who lived just a few hundred yards from here, in the school. And she was a native of Bahola, Swinford, someplace up there.
Yeah.
She was a Catholic teacher there.
Yeah.
And
She had run in, I suppose.
yes, she had a run in with the parish priest,
Yeah.
yes, she had, yes, at the time. And he sacked her, of course.
Yeah. You could do it
There
in
was
those
no
days.
unions then, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and what the parish priest said, you had
yeah.
to go.
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah,
anyhow, eventually her temper got the better and she joined the...
Well, she changed the religion.
She did, she
Yeah.
became a Protestant.
And she taught here for a
And
while.
she taught here. Seemingly they were looking for a teacher in this
Ah,
area.
yeah.
And the minister contacted her, or
Yeah.
knew of her whereabouts.
Well, there have been two teachers teaching here at one time. Two together.
But I can't know.
Ah,
I
yeah,
don't really
yeah.
know that.
You never
now.
heard of it?
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyhow, she was here for years. She married John Carson after coming, the gamekeeper,
Yeah.
and she had a family of 7 or 8.
Yeah.
One of which became a teacher in Newton White New School, over the road now.
Yeah.
I'd say it to be in 19. I can't know the year.
Ah, yeah. In the 1900s.
Yes, but when the new school opened in Newton Heights, she was the first teacher, her daughter, or Mrs. Carson's daughter, to teach there.
Ah, yeah.
Frances Carson.
Yeah.
Yes,
Coming from here.
yes, coming from there.
Yeah. This is your house here at the back, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah. Sam Carroll lived here, didn't he?
That's right. He lived here for going on 85 years,
He did, yeah.
boarding here.
Yeah. And his father before him lived here too, didn't he?
That's right.
Was his name Samuel too?
No, his name was, let me think now, Thomas.
Yeah.
Thomas Carroll.
Now, this house here is different from all the other houses around, isn't it? Called the rectory, isn't it?
This was supposed to be the rectory
Yeah.
some years and years back.
Yeah.
And the clergyman that lived here, he had his church was down in the Ballysokeary present-day graveyard.
Yeah. And he owned the glebe lands too, I say, didn't he?
Possibly.
Ah, he did, yes. So this is an important house. a historical house in the area, isn't it? One of the historical houses in the area.
Well, if you put it that way, I
Oh,
suppose.
indeed it is, indeed it is, indeed it is, indeed it is. You can't remember any of the names of the clergymen that lived here?
I can't remember any of the names, no.
Yeah.
I've never heard of names, only just that I know that there was a clergyman living here at one time.
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Rushings. It means the wood of the pilgrims. Could also mean the small pints, or a small pint jutting out into the sea or into the river. We have two of them down there. Costa and Ballysokeary, and another one at Bullock Park. Could also mean rust is the old Irish word for a wood. This is the Red Eddles Road, Boher and Rua. Bullock Park down here. Costa Bradon, or the Field of the Salmon Point. Ballysokeary Point. Carrigan Rocks, or Carrigan Island. Carrigan Moor and Carrigan Beg. And Taff Island, where they used to burn kelp and collect seaweed. And this is Bartra Island out there. Rushings. The little woods are the many points, and left of this wall here is the townland of Rushings. Road here again, the boundary. Out there could be one of the many points that give the townland its name. King's Island. Costa Bradon Point. Dulon and the other islands looking out at Bartra. And down at Bullock Park. The little wood are points of land. Well, we can't see them too well from here, but they are very plain to be seen on the map. Now it could come from rust means a wood, or it could also mean a point of land. In 1838 this townland belonged to Captain Kirkwood of Bartra. You can see Bartra way off there in the distance in the background. The townland here contained over 271 acres. The tenants paid 42 shillings an acre in those days, and they grew oats, flax and potatoes. 7 farmers and 1 cottier were all Catholics. In 1856, the immediate lesser was Captain Charles Kirkwood. The townland occupiers were Bartholomew Donoghue, Patrick Fox, Richard Mangan, Anthony Clark, Andrew Malarkey, James Leach, Thomas Carden, John Craven, Patrick Ryan, William Shaw and John Shaw. In 1856 this townland had only 158 acres. Rushings today has almost 274 acres of land. Now somewhere, I read but I can't find out or remember where it was, of the wood of the pilgrims was around here somewhere, down in that direction somewhere. It was, pilgrims used to walk along here on their way to the Holy Well or the Blessed Well that was in Rosac, and they often rested in some little wood along the way here, which is in it no longer. So it was referred to as the wood of the pilgrims. Now in 1641 this townland had only 140 acres. It was disposed to Sir Arthur Gower, and the proprietor's name was Valent Blake. It was called Russin in those days. So it is in the whole townland.
That point down there with the winds on it is called Gorta Bradon on the map. And I presume that it got that name. Well, the Gorta would be the field. The point must be a good place for catching salmon. And the Moy from way back from St. Patrick's time has the reputation of being abounding in fish.
A good salmon river.
A good salmon river, yeah. In fact, that's what it says about St. Patrick. That when he came to this fish-full river, he founded the church on the west bank of the river and put St. Buridac in charge. So This was one of the fishing points, I'd say.
It'd be West Bank too, wouldn't it?
West Bank,
West
correct.
Bank.
Yeah.
And Augusta be a till field.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So the name is probably old.
Yeah.
It would, of course, it only went on the map in 1838,
Yeah.
but they probably put it on because it was old.
Yeah. This is a kind of a historic field over here now, isn't it, in a way?
We're looking out of where Loch Con used to graze. That's, how did he come to be grazing here?
Well, that's the thing I cannot tell you. I know my father made the swap for another house for the summer.
Ah, yes.
The summer of what, 1947.
Yes.
Yeah.
And some land has the reputation for being good for grazing horses. The limestone maybe, or whatever it is, whatever it was in the ground anyway. And it produced good horses before, I suppose, that's the reason.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, tell me, was it before or after grazing here he came second in the Grand National?
After.
Oh, so it must have had a good
It
effect
was
on
a
him.
fence.
Yeah, yeah. What year would that be now?
1947.
1947. And did you mention the man that had him grazing here?
Paddy Row.
Paddy Road. That's a Ballina, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
He owned them. I can remember commentaries, and he fell about halfway. He used to be away in front,
Yes.
flying his fences and everything, and then stumbled the first time, and he got knocked out. Michael O'Hare used to call him the little Loch Con, away in front again.
Yeah, yeah. So this is the field he grazed in here for one summer at least.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
And he was small, insignificant little horse. You'd never fancy him to come second in a Grand National, judging by his appearance.
Yeah.
But he must have been good stuff on the same.
Oh, I don't know what it is.
What do you call it? Covering a hen?
Cover and a hen, yeah.
Yeah. And where are the impressions of the skull now?
The right here, isn't that kind of?
That looks like one.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's one across there.
Yes, and this is the head of the pipe. It's something like the head of the pipe, and it runs.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
not easy to make it.
No, it's not easy to make it out, like, but
A head of a pipe and a head of and a closure.
Yeah.
And
The cattle.
the cattle
The
has
cattle
been
have
muddied.
messed it all
Yes, they have ruined it, really. It should have been walled in, yeah.
this well we have been looking at now, you called it their
Cover a hen.
Tobera Hen. Yeah.
Yes.
And the old way was overhead, was it? The old roadway?
Yes, the old road that
So
the
it-
old people used to travel on in the 1880s or 90s,
And even before that.
and before that.
They'd be
yes.
going up to the south, would they?
Yes, we go out across Patrick
Yeah,
onto the main road to go to Ballina
yeah.
and there.
Would they go this way to the stock gathering?
Yes, the local people
Yeah.
going to see their relatives that was buried there,
Yeah.
you know. And
Or the people from Ballysokeary, would they be going that way to the Blessed Well?
yes, they went that
Yeah.
way and from Lacken.
So they're supposed to drink here at this well,
At this well, yeah, and
Yeah.
the passing, yeah.
and the main road was overhead, wasn't
Yeah, it
it?
was overhead, yes.
Yeah. And there's a scrub around here too, isn't
Yes,
there?
there is, all in this area.
Yeah. So it could be the Wood of the Pilgrims.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It fits.
Probably, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
A very deep, boggy, soggy place.
The low line.
Yes, the low lion, yes.
The Corrock.
The curragh, yes.
Yeah.
If an animal got stuck in there, he would be there. He couldn't get out until he got help, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Lots
yeah,
of animals
yeah,
were lost
yeah,
in that particular spot.
Soft ground.
Yes, very soft.
Yeah.
And the tide flows, the spring tide flows right up to the edge here.
Yeah. Up to here.
Outside.
Oh,
you
yeah.
see, you can see the sand, but the
Yeah.
spring tide, it comes
Yeah.
right in on the... On
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
oh, yes, on the,
Kind
on
of a
the
map,
soft
yeah,
part, yes.
yeah. Up over that ditch there was the old roadway, wasn't
Yes,
it? Or
that
the
was
old,
the old road,
old
yes. We used to
pathway.
travel from Ballysokeary out onto the...
Coming from over that direction then.
Yes, right over along that wall until you go out at George Ryan's. You go past George Ryan,
Yeah.
boat builders, and straight on and out across Patrick they used to come, the old people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And down here would be the scrub or the Wood of the Pilgrims.
Yes, the Wood of the Pilgrims. scrub that was followed all the way over to Ballysokeary along the shore.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Oh, that would be it. All right.
yes,
And that explains your rushing now.
yes,
so.
yes.
The little
There
woods.
is- Oh, yeah.
It would be one of the little woods, wouldn't it?
The headland, yeah, and it's a headland and a wood, both.
And the wood,
Yeah.
the wood is all on the side. That's our land from there. Oh, you're not taking that?
One of the pilgrims. And over on the hill here, got the Bradon, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
And that's where there's a
There's a
tomb.
little tomb.
Or a
yes,
cave or a
cave
chamber.
underground.
Yeah,
Yes, a
yeah.
room like about the size of a small room.
Yeah, Park said he was inside in it, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yes, it's not very big, but
And easy to get into.
and easy to get into. Yes,
Oh, we'll find that out.
yes.
Left of Gurta Bradon there is the cave. Well now, this is Boher and Neela Road, the Red Eddles Road. No, it isn't. This is the Ballysokeary Road, and there's the boundary ditch going up there to meet that house. Right of this road here now is Rushins, and this is the Red Eddles Road, Boher and Neela Road, as we turn down towards the shore. Mangan's on the right there, where we got all this information from. Another look at Boher and Neela Road. And this is the Kinhart household, and down the fields here, where we see these two men walking, is another cave, site of another cave. This is the location of it. It looks like an ancient fort, built of stones. And in it was, we see Pike Mangan looking into something he crawled into years and years ago, but can no longer do so. It has been closed up. Small opening is still there. I was saying there was a tunnel or something here that
Yes, just right at your back.
yeah. You went back in it as a young fella?
Yes,
On your hands and knees?
yes,
Yeah. Did you go far back in it?
20 yards.
Yeah. And it was all the same back?
All the same.
Yeah. Built on both sides?
Yes,
And roofed with that kind of flag that
Yeah.
you can see there now. The
yes,
same as
something the same.
that. Yes. That more or less in a straight line, is it?
Yeah, and that direction. The same way now with the...
As we're facing.
Yeah. Well, I tried to go 20 yards back that way.
Now, Canon Mc Hale and Pike Mangan once again on the top of the ruins of this ancient fort, underneath which is a tunnel, probably an escape hatch, when the fort was being used as a habitation at one time. And there's a Kinhart house in the background. Now down here is Bullock Park and the road out to Bastard Island, and up here the Carl House. St. Charles, which was once Craven's. The name of this village here, Park, you were telling me it was Bullock Park.
Yes.
Yeah. And that car house over there was belonging to
South right.
yeah, and Captain Berner, was it?
He was one of those.
Yeah, and Roberts later on.
Yes.
Yeah. He'd have the trap and the horses in there, hadn't he? Or
Well, no, he had the car.
the motor car?
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe he had, all right. So he always kept it here.
Yes.
You were telling me too that the people that lived in this house here,
Craven.
Craven, and later it was Sam Carroll, was it?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Craven's house here. That house up there, Park, we see the gable of it standing
Yes.
there. Whose house was it?
So that's the owner was Roland.
Roland, yeah. Any other families there? Kinhart?
Well, they lived here, this side of it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Judges, you mean? Like.
Judges that was in it that
yeah,
side.
yeah. Now, you never heard where it was called Bullock Park. Are there a lot of bullocks or anything grazing around here, or was there any parkland here or anything?
Well, I don't know.
You never heard? No, no. Craven hadn't any land fenced in as parkland, had he?
No.
No. Yeah, Bullock Park.
It's a new name. Somebody invented it around 1838, I suppose, when the ordnance survey was being done.
Yeah. Maybe there was a lot of bullocks grazing in it at any time.
But there could be.
Yeah.
There is at the moment, I know.
Yeah. Bullock Park. Like some of the people that was living up on these houses here, you think they were working on Batra?
Yes.
Yeah. Labourers are working on the farm or doing something around Batra.
Well, something anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know what to
Employed by the captains out there. Would they be employed by the captains out
Yes.
there? Yeah, yeah. Ah, yeah.
Anchor.
The underground chamber at Gortabradon, coming up now, right here.
I'm gone in anyway.
Yeah.
What do you think it is, Canon?
Is it squarish? Oh, that's an underground chamber, right there.
It seems to be filling up with clay since the time I was there.
Is it?
Because they were able to stand up and they got that. And you can say you were or not.
Yeah.
What would you think the purpose of this would be, Canon?
Well, there would have been a fort round about it, and it was a place for storage, and also an escape to be the beginning of that. They'd store their grain or food or whatever they have, and the escape passage then would be
Going down this
kind
direction.
of a creek. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not sure which. More than likely it will be towards water. It's usually towards water.
Are you going to come back, Pollock? Yeah. Are you coming back again? Oh, yeah. It is. Pollock.
Yes,
It's built overhead.
yes, big flag.
Oh, yeah. Come on, come out of it. You're long enough down there.
And there's no small creek passage out of that, like.
That's what I'm looking for, nothing.
No.
It's built all round about.
Yeah. Unless now down at like that the floor level might have raised up.
Come out of it, you're long enough in it.
It was easier then.
It was. Give it a. Will I give you a hand?
No, it's all right.
Back again in the land of the living.
And roughly.
One chamber for it.
Yes,
One chamber.
Big flags then.
Big
on
flags,
the roof,
yeah.
Yeah.
And the walls, is it square or circular?
square.
Square.
Yeah.
I mean,
Round
it
corner.
is when it comes to din, like the corner goes round.
Yeah.
Both places. You know
Yeah.
what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it seems to be wider at the fire ring than this way.
Yeah.
The quarter house there. And up in these bushes up here, Tubber Hen.
Yes.
Tubber Hen. Or Tubber Inn.
Tubber Hen, I think.
Tubber Hen. Yeah. Whose land is this here now?
Georgie Foster.
Yeah. And what would the name of that point be out there? Is it Gortabradon? Out here. Where that fence is going out to. Do you ever hear Gortabradon?
No.
No. The field of the salmon, isn't it?
7. That's right.
Yeah, this is the one, I think.
Is it that one or yeah?
It's the point going out here. This one here with the winds on it, the fuzz. Yeah. That field down there, Ralcha.
Yes.
Oh, never heard of the new one. And Gortabradon. Every field has a name here. Now you have a story about Bullock Park and crossing over there with a donkey and cart and old Mickey Bond,
Yes.
Mickey Lochner.
Well, he was going out to the island and he was well drunk. And every year he'd go, he was blessing himself. And when they thought the water too deep, he turned back and came in again. Thanks be to God, says Mickey on land. He thought he was on Bath and he was back on the mainland
Yes,
again.
back at Bullock Park again.
Yes.
Yeah. Gallagher, or Lochner was his right name, wasn't
Yes.
it? Yeah. So Mickey had many experiences going out there,
Yes.
hadn't they? What about the day he took off with the boat?
Yeah, it was 1 hour.
1 hour.
Yeah, round the ring he was going, but he still made that.
He's still red master.
He must have been a good worker when they kept him on after all the shenanigans.
But he wouldn't
Oh,
be,
he was.
he'd only be drunk occasionally, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah, he'd be drunk all the time. Yeah, on the way from...
Money was too scarce at the time for getting drunk too often.
Well, of course, the grog was cheap too, wasn't it?
Well, it was, I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah. Bullock Park.
Well, he lived outside, he lived out in...
Yes. Betimes for the winter. He used to be with him at all for the summer months.
I see.
So is this Captain Kirkwood now you're talking?
Yes.
Ah, yeah.
Claude Cow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were telling us another one too on the way down, how the car capsized one time.
Oh, yeah.
On the way down to...
That's just where we turned below into the river.
That's at the car house, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
Oh, they
car
had...
went over on its side.
Yes. Both were drunk that day.
And Lockney was underneath.
Underneath.
Uh.
And Kirk was on the top, and Kirk was shouting at Lockney to get out.
To do the impossible.
Yes.
So there were many funny experiences, I say, down there at Bullock Park.
Oh, God rest them both.
Newtown White. Townland, I suppose, called after some man called White.
Yeah.